All right, I gotta be quick. I'm in the student lounge at Barstow Community College and they're having finals. I gotta get out of here quick. This video is to talk about what's possible downtown in Barstow, and it's meant for the First Street Bridge Facebook page. I'm John. I am a researcher, an artist, and a bit of a musician, and I found that Barringer Crater is related to Stonehenge and to Giza, and that means, well, it also relates to the Younger Dryas Meteor Impact of 12,500 years ago. I've listed some papers that talk more in detail about it, but at that time, it's more or less where the Quran, the Tanakh, and the Bible talk about Noah's flood. The meteor struck in the Great Lakes area. It melted the Laurentide ice sheet, and that water came all over North America. It went into the oceans and it raised the levels of the oceans. And rainfall also was started from that hit. It sent ice and ice debris up into the atmosphere, which returned and created the Carolina Bays and the Nebraska rainwater basins. That came back down at Mach 8, I think it was. And the ice crystals went up and started rainfall all over the planet. Why I'm talking about that is I'd like to bring a film to Barstow. The San Bernardino Mountains, the Big Bear Mountains, all the mountains in our area, when the waters came down from the north, and you can see it most prevalent or most obvious in Nevada, the state of Nevada, you can actually see ripples over the whole state. That was the water running through. When it hit our mountain ranges, it dumped the silt and the mud that was carried along, and that covered what used to be lakes and streams here in our area. We used to have conifer forest, palm forests, and those are all just buried under silt. And that's why we have a desert now. It wasn't because of the mountains and the rainwater and the leeward and the windward side of the mountains. It wasn't that. It was just dumped here during that flood. I want to bring the film here. I want to make a film, not me specifically, but I have an idea for one, and I want to bring it here to Barstow. I'm also working at raising the level of the town itself so that the film being brought here has a chance of hanging on, or the town has a chance of continuing after the film leaves. I want to save the First Street Bridge. I want to build up the Old Town area. I want to bring in new businesses, and I'm not the only person. There's a few businesses already established that are also saying the same thing, and they are connected to the Facebook page. I am working with someone with the town. I just spoke with someone at the BLM. The river would be an amazing project for our entire region, for the state. If the Mojave River were allowed to run again, the drought in the north would be greatly reduced. And if we could work on the river systems on the other side of the mountain, we'd have further rainfall in our area. I know when I lived in Apple Valley, you could actually see the marine layer moving up through the mountains and curling around into the mountains on our side, on the Victorville side. It all came from the ocean. And if we had forests all throughout that area like it used to be, the water would get taken up by the trees and it would go into the ground, and the rivers would, the water system would begin flowing again. If the rivers were going, if you can imagine Barstow, I remember when my dad was still around, he would say things, "Oh, I knew it. I knew I shouldn't have gone outside because I saw the clouds. As soon as I go outside, they all go away." And what it really is the high pressure system that develops when our valley here in Barstow gets heated up. That produces a high over our valley, and as soon as clouds come, they get pushed around and they never come through Barstow. That's why we never get rain here. If the river were flowing, we'd have not only more water in either the underground basin or on the top of the ground at times, but we'd have the possibility of trees growing in some way. And once that begins, the high pressure over the Barstow area goes away, and the rainwater or the clouds coming in off of the mountains have a chance to rain here as well, and it starts growing, and we start having more trees growing. It could be maybe not as substantial as what you see in Victorville at the old rock crossing, where the river crosses the rocks and the river flows underneath the freeway. maybe not as heavily as forested as that area, but it's possible we could do something in that vein. The river does flow underneath the bridge at the First Street, and so it's possible we could get water there. If that big volcanic stone is there and Bee Hill is there pushing water up, it's possible we could have a forest in that area if we could get the river flowing again and pull the dam down. Of course, that takes talking to the federal government, the state government, regional governments, city governments, and all of those people working together. I think it would be something amazing if we could get the military involved and working like an Army Corps of Engineer project, like they did in the 40s with the Delano Roosevelt, the 30s and 40s. That would be fun. And I think Mr. Trump would have a great time doing that. If we could move away from war and into doing something like he's saying, let's make America great. Well, why not use the military for some of these projects and use our finances for some of these kinds of projects? He'd be putting all sorts of people to work, and we'd be reducing the drought in California, putting money back into the state, and we get our river back. We could put river trails all throughout, from Daggett, let's say, all the way up into Victorville or to Hesperia, to the headwaters. You could have a little electric train, one there in the Victorville area leaving towards us, and one in Daggett leaving towards them, and just have continual, service on that line. It's electric. We could have wind generators and solar panels supplying everything that's necessary. You could have river trails for pedestrians and bicycles, and parks dotting from here to Victorville, dotting the entire route. And you give people in Barstow a chance to go maybe 5-10 miles out and have a picnic, and then come back on the river trail on their bicycles or electric vehicles even. And the train could actually stop at each one of those parks, so people could enjoy the entire river again. We'd have to do riverbank restoration, and very serious, because the floods are why the river was dammed. I think there was Oro Grande had some stamp mills at one time. There was gold in that area, and those got washed out completely. And the area where the river crosses the rocks in Victorville, that was continually being washed out. So there would have to be some very heavy engaged riverbank systems set up, and the Army would be great at that. We just create some very beautiful designs and give that over, and let those be created by military and commercial projects, and in no time we can have our river back, and things can be happening up north for the farming for the San Joaquin Valley. So that's what I wanted to talk about. The Younger Dryas, if you get a chance, go online, look up Younger Dryas Meteor Impact, and there's many videos by many researchers. There must be at least 100 people out there, academic, University of California at Santa Barbara, people from England, independent people. There's so many different people. I have a paper out that suggests that Barringer was used by the people in Stonehenge and Giza to talk about this meteor impact. And it's that important that ancient people were saying, hey, you in the future, this happened to us. We had such a calamity and survived such horrendous times that we want you to do something about it. And it was offered by the presidency in 2016 that we should go up and build a meteor shield, and we should do that. We should not only have a shield, but we should have teachings about the Younger Dryas event, so that when we do go up, people will know that we don't have to be afraid anymore, and it'll actually guide us to peace. My paper talks about that, and that's available online as well, or on my website, on my Facebook page. There's so much that can be done that it's so important, and I'm hoping to bring that to Barstow. This is my hometown, and I think it's so important that I'd like to get my community involved in it. And maybe the film will come here, and maybe the bicycle race too, the Amgen Tour of California. I think that would be fun. So that's all I got. I think I probably should make this room vacant. There's finals going on, and I'm sure they're wanting to come in here and do some work. So I'll keep it short and just say thanks, and maybe we can get to working together. Thank you.